Well, in the next scene, Ransom is on the water with Hyoy and Hwin, as well as 100 other boats, and they set out to hunt the Nakra. So exactly how does one hunt the Nakra?
Yeah, I really liked this bit. He explains that longer ships go up the middle of the waterway, and then you have the smaller craft at the sides, and so the Hanakra is driven to the side channels and then attacked with spears. And so you have to throw your spears into its open mouth. So that's what we call a high-risk, high-reward venture. And Lewis describes the whole thing in terms which would be very familiar to anyone who's engaged in any kind of hunting in England, be it fox or grouse or any kind of bird. Because, for example, he refers to some of the boats as beaters, which is normally a person who drives the game out of areas by hitting sticks and making lots of noise. And he even describes the Thross as they're going up the stream as like a cry of hounds. And honestly, this entire scene has really strong echoes for me of the buffalo hunt from Dances with Wolves.
I got Mel Gibson in whatever that Mel Gibson movie is when he goes, hold.
Braveheart?
Braveheart, that's the one.
Ah.
Yeah, like you're staring death in the face almost, but there's just no fear. It's like, I am going to charge forward. I just pictured that. And maybe a little bit of Titanic on the front of the boat, arms outstretched, just charging forward.
Going forward, and of course, arms outstretched, it's cruciform, right? It's this
I love that you tried to save what was meant to be just kind of a pithy little joke. Thanks for dignifying that comment, Andrew.
But there's also one of the earliest Old English poems is called The Dream of the Rood, and rood is a cross, R-O-O-D. And the cross reflects on and speaks in the poem about the cross's experience of hosting Christ on him. And he talks about the young noble hero who climbs up upon the cross and stretches out his arms. And so I think that seeing at least some cruciformity in all of this is not altogether out of the picture. Yeah. There's this thing that Lewis says, something long sleeping in the blood awoken Ransom, and he's got these kind of big noble visions of himself, and then he kind of gives them up, imposing humility on the newly risen riot of his feelings. So he's got these dreams of being a hero, and then he lets them go by an imposed humility. And I mean, there's a devotional moment for you. What would an imposed humility do for us this week, right? If I were to impose humility on a situation where I usually assert myself, what would that look like? And it reminds me of nothing more than Sam Gamgee, who gets the ring and thinks about being the gardener of the world, and then he's like, well, yeah, no, my patch of garden is enough for me. Sam's one of the only ones besides Tom Bombadil who really willingly, wholeheartedly gives up the ring. And you see this kind of sense here in Lewis as well, that Ransom is kind of deliberately humbling himself.